Oh, my name is Coach Steve, the Affordable Life Coach, and every day I learn something new. I grow, I evolve. I try to become a better version of myself and coach my clients so they become a better version of themselves. If you're interested in ridiculously affordable life coaching, my email is in this description. Consultation is complimentary and then no obligation afterwards. And enjoy I enjoy the stuff that I learn through coaching and to really see human nature in action. I enjoy learning how I respond to what happens in my life, in my coaching relationships. And even when there's extreme challenges, very challenging clients, difficulties, problems, that's when we grow the most. That's our opportunity to evolve, to shine, and to embrace the suck. Because there can be a lot of stuck, there can be a lot of stress, there can be a lot of pain and suffering. And unfortunately, we have conditioned ourselves to numb out. I don't want to blame the tech companies or the people that make social media websites or the addictive nature of smartphones. We are the problem and we are the solution. And when we numb out, we don't evolve and grow from what life throws at us. And that's why I really encourage my clients to spend time unplugged, to spend time self reflecting, to spend time being bored, to spend time listening to your inner voice, your intuitive voice, to spend time observing your neurotic monkey mind so it doesn't hijack your brain with fears, worries, stresses, and anxieties, and to allow your emotions, your intuition, and God to speak to you and spirit, getting spiritual guidance. And we just busy ourselves with so much nonsense. And when you're young, you think, oh, I have a long life to live. Who cares if I spend a couple hours a day? And a lot of people spend way more than that on screens. I'm not talking about for work. I'm talking about just mindless, distractive time. You'll never get that time back. You'll look back on your deathbed and go, what the heck was I thinking? And it's something we all struggle with. I'm not saying I'm immune to it. I struggle with it, especially when I'm tired, especially when willpower is low, and especially when the temptation is to just want to numb out, recharge the batteries. So I'm not saying we need to be perfect about this, but it's so important to know thyself and to reflect, and it helps talking to someone. That's my profession. And taking the lessons out of what happens in our day-to-day life instead of just trying to avoid it. And we have become creatures of comfort. There's a good book called The Comfort Crisis where he talks about this in depth, that we just want things to be nice, easy, non-confrontational, comfortable, safe, secure, warm. We don't no longer, I mean, most people in westernized worlds no longer have to experience hunger. Most people. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. We don't have to experience, being cold or not having clean drinking water, not having a roof over our heads. This is getting less and less so, but even feeling like a sense of safety and security. And well, that's good. I mean, it shows that we've evolved, but I see this in coaching and I really try to root this out within myself. Boy, do we have a tendency to not want to experience emotional discomfort. We don't want to have those difficult and uncomfortable conversations. We don't want to be radically honest with who we are, authentic, and express ourselves in a way that is true to ourselves instead of what will garner the least amount of disapproval. We want to be liked. We want people to be nice to us. We don't want people to judge us. We don't want people to be angry at us. And if we can immune ourselves to that discomfort, and again, it doesn't have to be anything radical, just step by step. I've always heard about cold plunges. I thought that sounds very uncomfortable, getting in really, really cold water. And then I did it, and I'm like, I was a little bit tepid about going in the water and like, oh, this is going to be really hard. And our mind makes things much worse than they actually are in reality. And I got in the water and it was like, yeah, it was cold, but eventually my body acclimated to it and it felt refreshing. It felt invigorating. Part of our malaise, part of our lethargy, part of our apathy, part of our complacency is due to a life that is just filled with comfort and ease and unhealthy foods and a lack of vigorous exercise and a lack of challenging ourselves and a lack of making social connections, um, deep, meaningful social connections with people, having real conversations. And it's a very flat way to live. So we look to get that dopamine hit and spice things up through short-term immediate gratification. And it just doesn't fill that void. And for me, it's got to come from God. It's got to be biblical. It come from reading the Bible, from prayer. And I try, no, I don't try, I just about every day, I spend about an hour, hour and a half just unplugged. I like walking, so just unplugged and walking. And it's incredible the self-discoveries, and especially if I'm praying or if I'm reading the Bible, like answers, insights, illuminations will come to me. And a lot of the problems I see in coaching clients, now some are atheists and don't want to change that. So I also obviously coach people that are agnostic or atheists. And it's just there's a spiritual deadness inside that can't be fulfilled with, all the other. I know this will be controversial, but I've gone down this path, all the other different, spirituality or spiritual practices, um, because we're still relying on ourselves. We're still depending on our own effort, our own will, instead of having God living within us and surrendering our lives to a higher power. And that is hard, especially this day and age and culture, because it slaps up against, butts up against what the culture values. Do what you want, do what feels good. Everything is tolerable, everything's okay. And the loss of our moral compass, the loss of integrity, the loss of being a man or woman of your word, or trusting that other people will keep their word. It's it's heartbreaking. And if we don't have a higher power to fall back on, or to have our foundation of our life rest upon, we are going to be tossed to and fro like a reed in the wind, and we're just lost. And I see this so much in our world. I see this in clients that I coach, is everything is externalized, and we look to the external accomplishments or achievements to make us feel whole, to give our life purpose, to ease some of the angst, anxiety, stress, worry, fear, pressure that we feel in being human. Excuse me. And it's just it's just not enough. The things of the world are passing, and they're just not enough to fill that void that is longing for something higher. And a lot of people, you're in your, as you listen to this, you're probably in that voice in your brain. Oh, he's one of those. He's a Christian, and he's talking about spirituality, and he's talking about the need of God, and the need for us to acknowledge and our sin nature, and to repent, and to need for a savior. And your first instinct is to automatically discount it. Why? Why is that? And you might have justifications. Oh, I've known Christians and they were hypocritical or whatever. But ask yourself, why is there not an openness at least to checking it out, to at least giving it a try, at least having an open mind? It's really sad because the consequences are eternal. And it's just, as you get older, you realize the things of this world, as I said, they're fleeting, and they're just meaningless. They really are. They are meaningless. And at some part of us knows that deep in our hearts, because that's why we perpetually chase things. That's why we have addictions, and that's why we busy ourselves, distract ourselves, numb out, because we're spiritually disconnected from God. And and when I say God, I mean the God of the Bible. And God wouldn't leave us here without a book on how we're to live our lives and what the meaning of life is. And we have been, a lot. I used to think, oh, Christians are brainwashed. They're so programmed, and they have such strong, radical beliefs. And I never realized I was being brainwashed. I was being brainwashed by the culture. I was being brainwashed by what I saw on TV, what was valued in my friend circle, what I was taught, growing up from my parents, from teachers, educators, from even the corporations. And the hardest thing to do is to deprogram ourselves when it has been normalized. So we don't even see that there's something wrong with how we've been conditioned, of what our value system is. One of the things I do in coaching is I'll ask some of my clients, like, what is your value system? And a lot of people don't even have one clearly defined. A lot of people have one and it's very material. Oh, I want to have a good job. I want to get married. I want to have kids. Well, those are some goals, but what is your value system? Like for me, one of mine is just inner peace, inner calm, freedom, freedom of attachment, freedom of fearing man. So courage. And it's the character traits that we develop that define our lives, not the things that we accomplish or achieve. That is a factor and that is important, but they're a reflection of your character traits, your belief system, your value system. And we don't get that by the culture, by the world. It says in the Bible, this is Satan's kingdom. He's running the show. You know, and you could see the darkness. You could see the evil. You could see the pain and suffering. So it's just nice to connect with God, connect with yourself, spending time in nature, spending time unplugged, spending time being bored, spending time riding the wave of addictive behaviors of needing to pick up the phone, riding the wave. I mean by that, you feel that impulse to pick up your phone or to distract yourself or grab some food or do some online shopping, and you just sit and you just allow that emotion, addictive emotional impulse to pass, and just sit still and be with yourself. Go to a park, sit on a bench, go for a walk, breathe. If you can't even do that, listen to some nature sounds. Be still. That's liberation. That's discomfort. It's incredible how our inability to deal with discomfort has turned us into addicts, whether it's alcohol, whether it's sports, it's food, sex, meaningless conversations, chasing money. Yeah, it saddens me, but I want to shine the beacon of light that God has blessed me with and try to encourage people. There's alternatives. There's so much more to life than we can take in with our senses, which don't satiate us. And we're spiritual beings. I think it takes a lot of faith to believe we evolved from a blob, an amoeba, whatever. We were created by a creator. And why we don't feel that peace, that joy, that love, and that forgiveness is because we have do everything possible to numb out all the signals that create that prick our conscience that we're disconnected from our creator. It's like being disconnected from a loved one. It's painful. And nothing from this world can get rid of that desire that we have in our beings to connect with God and a higher power. This world is passing away. We're passing away each moment. We get one step closer to death. It's so important to be grateful, appreciative for how God has blessed us and what we have, and stop chasing things. That's freedom. That's contentment. Thanks for listening. If you would like coaching and discuss these or other topics more in depth, please feel free to email me. There's a PayPal link, and it means a lot to me for those of you that do even make a small donation or a small monthly donation, even if it's $1 or $2 a month. It gives me, just sends a message to me that these videos are valuable to people that are watching, even for just a small fledgling channel like mine. Yeah, and as always, if you want to see more of these videos, please consider subscribing, sharing this video with other people that you know are in pain or that are suffering, and like it. And I read your comments and appreciate your comments, and I look forward to the next one. Thanks for watching.